Hello and welcome, boys and ghouls, to Behind the Keyboard. This is the inaugural episode. This is just going to be a little chat show with various other authors. For our inaugural episode, we've got friend of the channel, my friend, JC Walsh, author of Death Highway, and his latest release, Within the Abyss. Thanks for being here, JC.
Hey, RF, thanks for having me. Really excited.
That's good. So I want to talk about Within the Abyss, since that's your latest release. Mm-hmm. Okay. Just briefly, it's a short story collection inspired by Lovecraft, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the stories, out of the, it's like 4 or 5 short stories in here?
It's about 5, yep.
5, yeah. Well, I say short stories. One of them seems to be more of like a novella.
Oh yeah, that's the first one. Heritage. I try to have them all as novellas, close enough as possible. That's how I was treating them. Because the way the stories just felt, how they expand, how much were in them. But that one is definitely the longest one. And if I didn't stop it, probably would have went longer too.
So you could theoretically take it and expand it into like a full novel.
Oh, that I could. Oh yeah, I could. There's a lot of backstory within the two brothers in the story. There's a lot of things that in between could have happened. There's other characters that may pop up in the future. So there's a lot of world building with that one particular story.
Okay. And I mean, out of them, so there's Heritage. I love the title of the second story, Pages of the Abomination. That's a great title. Jessica's Infidelity, The Last Stop, and Son of the Great and Terrible Sea. Out of all of them, which one was your favorite to write? My
top one was definitely Jessica's Infidelity. That's a little more personal. I just met, my wife and I were dating at the time, and I got out of a lot of really bad relationships prior to meeting her. So, and then I was reading a lot. I just was reading a lot of extreme. I discovered the leisure books at the time. I was reading a lot of the paperbacks those years, and reading Lovecraft. And then so I wrote that. I just popped in my head, like the one particular scene. I don't want. I can't. It's hard to talk about any scenes in that one. But there's one particular that popped my head and disturbed the hell out of me, and I just went to town on it. And then I ended up writing it. Actually, I first checked out. What was it? I went to Toronto for. I always screw it up, so I apologize. The World Horror Writing Convention. That was for HWA. And so I went there and meet other authors. I did a writing class, and I submitted that story, Jessica's Infidelity, to that class. And then that's when I first heard. And this is one of the reasons why it's definitely one of my favorite, because this is one of the first times I heard the term Lovecraftian. Okay. And that's where that guy, this gentleman wrote in the notes, this feels very Lovecraftian to me. And that wasn't my intention. Yeah, I maybe read it a little bit at the time, but I was really more focused on a lot of the extreme horror or splatterpunks and authors at the time. So to hear that, I was like, oh, that's cool. That was not on purpose. So that definitely is on the top of my list, because in the way it's expanded over the years. Okay. Because I wrote this in 2007, this one story. Really? So this is a 13-year-old story technically. So the one scene that I found disturbing was what ended the story pretty much, and maybe a little bit after that. But now you go like another 10 or 15 pages that follow after that, when the main character finds out what's going on with the town and how his girlfriend plays into it. Okay. So, yeah. So that, and that was that. And then what I really enjoy is too, like the hero is kind of almost, in a weird sense, this anti-hero, because not only is he trying to find out what's going on from all these, there's hints of his abuse, that's like hints of my own like abuse, but he also kind of becomes a toxic male in this. You find out how toxic he is too, and how that all plays in. So yeah, I didn't become a toxic person, but he did. I
was going to say, this is not a foretelling of things to come.
No. I would say maybe it was the insecurity and the fear that those relationships could turn me into that person. So it definitely plays a huge role. And then I'll say my second favorite is your title, the one's your favorite title, Pages of the Abomination, is my second favorite, because that's a story that started the collection.
Okay.
And that's another one's a little more personal. I went through that with that character, went through problems with a job, a lot. And then, you hear a lot of authors' tale of getting into writing more is like, you quit the job or you have a part-time job, and then I had enough of this bullshit. I want to focus on what my dream has always been.
Yeah.
So, and then that's where that goes. And then, where you have a desk, you have that one thing in your life that is your inspiration. But then the inspiration turns terrible, of course, turns into something more dark.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, see, I've read the book, and I really liked Heritage. Heritage was really good. That was the first one you sent to the beta readers?
Yeah, it was the first and only one because of the way the year was. I was just like, screw this, I want to sucker out. But everybody's feedback was incredible. It was great. It was great, different levels too of feedback of what people liked and what they didn't like. And some people thought it was too pulpy, some loved the pulp. And I kept it the way it is because I want to have that feedback when people read it now. You know?
And I mean, like, I really enjoyed Heritage, and I was one of your betas, and I got to, I told you my thoughts, which was,
Mm-hmm.
The pulp was good, and I really liked that sort of pulpy, Lovecraft, Robert E. Howard, that
Mm-hmm.
whole thing. It could do with more, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I
appreciate that.
If you do ever get around to making it, expanding it to a full novel, just add more pulp.
Add more pulp. That should be a tagline. Add more pulp.
Oh yeah. R.F. Blackstone. Add more pulp. And I mean, I really enjoyed it, but Pages of the Abomination. That one, as the title I like, but that one was my favorite. So a lot of your stories in this collection, even with Death Highway, I know Death Highway, because I did interview you on my blog, ages ago.
Feels like ages ago.
It was like 2019.
Oh my God.
Lifetime ago. You said that Death Highway was inspired from, I think it was your older brother?
Younger,
right. I knew it was a brother. So there's that, and so you take a lot of your personal experiences and put them into your stories, and is that on purpose, or is it just the way it happens?
It's a little bit of both. With Death Highway, it was on purpose, only because that first formulated from when I was taking courses back in 2002. They're like at-home courses with a school that's in Connecticut, and they help you break into print. So it was like writing short stories. So each assignment built you towards like getting ready for that type of thing. And so like 3 of those assignments focused on, one was write about a person in your life, and all my family members are like car people.
Okay.
So, nah, not me. I was a book nerd. I know lifting and become a bouncer later on in years of life. I'm just being picked on. So that was my tough edge I gained. But cars and all that mechanical stuff, no way. So I wrote about him. I wrote about my family's. My father owns a body shop, so I wrote about a little bit with that, and then became a story about a drag racer having a premonition. He shouldn't do a race. Okay. And then I graduated the course writing what Death Highway is now, but it wasn't even as Lovecraftian. It was just visually and surrealistically nuts. It was like, I mean, okay, the Death Highway, the short novel, was the same way, but it wasn't as Lovecraft. But it still had the same idea, racing some undead racers and going into this other world and stuff like that. So, and I had no intention of bringing it back.
Okay,
no intention.
So what changed?
My muse, man. It's just like Within the Abyss was supposed to be my first release. I want to be a short story collection and then move on. As I was working on those stories and then listening to more podcasts and reading more different authors, and then it just came out of nowhere. I don't even remember the image I have now, what happened then. I was sitting at lunch at work writing, and then boom, it's just like, holy crap, what the hell is going on here? And I just went with it, and then it ended up becoming like 2 drafts, 3 drafts, and then here we are. And then now I have ideas to spawn other sequels.
Well, yeah, I know that you are writing Death Highway 2.
Mm-hmm.
And Honestly, I remember when you told me, like, when we first started talking, and talking about Death Highway, you said it's Fast and Furious meets Mad Max and Lovecraft. I mean, perfect elevator pitch.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the cover is really good for it as well. I really like the
Yeah.
cover.
Thank you. That's I know her from my previous job when I lived in Rhode Island. Graphic design. I worked at a print shop.
Okay.
So I was more operations, cutting things, folding, stapling. I did some graphic design because I went to school for graphic design. I'm good at it, but I'm not that good where she was. And then she started working there somewhere around 2010, I believe. And then shortly before I moved to New Jersey, I talked to her. It's like, hey, I want to get my release out. I would like you to do the work of the cover. And then, and I posted the older cover too. You see more of Cthulhu on that cover. You see the tentacles, where now the newer cover is just the eye. So. Yeah. And I love what she did with that. So, and I can't wait to see what she does with Death Highway 2. We're going to come up with some ideas. I want to keep each cover of the Death Highway books kind of similar, but just different like entities or environments or whatnot.
Yeah. So, keeping the car, that sort, those basic elements. Okay, cool. And I mean, do you see Death Highway being a long running, or is it going to be more like a trilogy? Or is that too soon to ask?
Brain is telling me 5 books.
Oh, okay. So saga.
It's going to be a saga, yes. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if it's going to go past that. It's definitely an open world. It's almost very Dark Tower-ish, where there's a lot of connections with other stuff. So it's definitely, my brain just won't stop with that. It's gonna keep doing that, and then I'm rolling with it. And they're all going to be self-published. I'd rather those be self-published, and so I can just go crazy with them, have fun, and pull people into that type of world. Yep. So, yeah.
Okay, and I mean, going back a little bit, you said that the first version of Death Highway didn't have Lovecraft.
Right.
So what made you add the Lovecraftian elements?
I'm trying to think of all my drafts, because it wasn't, you know what? When I got to the second draft was about 89,000 words.
Damn.
I went balls to the wall, crazy, just spewing everything out. And the problem was, it didn't make sense to me, and I didn't know what to do with it. So scrapping it made sense, and starting all over before I started sending the beta readers and then the editor. And then that's where the Lovecraftian, I tried to throw a little bit in that second draft, but then when the third draft came out, it only made sense to even go more Lovecraftian. And another one of my influences I say with that, because I always use films more than books. This is the way because I'm visually nuts like that. The Phantasm movies. That's where I got the Red Planet, the Tall Man. And that's my fault. I forget to keep throwing it out there, because and what helped was, okay, I love the Phantasm movies because of all the dimension jumping they do in it, and it's wacky and then disjointed, and they're like, you can create your own theory with this. So I just roll with that, and I know, and then that's why there is some. I think we see the reviews. There are some little people like, hey, I wish it was a little more explained here and there, and yeah, they're right. It could have been, it should have been, but it's also the essential of an independent movie too. It just enjoy it, have fun, get crazy. So with that Phantasm, alternate dimensions, which also has cosmic horror, I just roll with it. I'm like, all right, well, okay, what can I do with this? What kind of creatures can I throw in there, and where can I get that sense of like the mist and all those different elements that I love, So what I love about action movies and those pulpy movies and then those creature stories and just get crazy, So.
Well, see, I'm the same. Like, whenever for example, I've got a couple of books out with Civic Press, and both times, when I pitched them the ideas, it was this movie and this movie put together. That's for me. I'm like, that easiest way to describe things is, it's these movies. And you said it just now that it's like a low budget independent movie. Do you think that there is that relationship between independent movies and self-published indie authors?
Oh, big time. I think there's a huge relationship with that, because like with self-published, it's more acceptable now than it was back then with self-publishing. So, but even though it is more acceptable, it's still against the grain to some degree. You still have to fight hard to get out there, and I mean, everybody has their own tribulations. Everybody's got to fight their own way through this industry. So that's not to discredit anybody, but I feel like self-publishing there's still a little stigmata to it, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. Like there's because there's that DIY punk metal feel to it that a lot of indie, not just horror, but indie movies in general have, where it's just like, okay, well, where can we go with this? Where can we make it visionary and then let people make up their own minds with it? Because like independent movies are a literary form, where it's more pieces than where it's just words. I mean, it's funny. Train Spawn just popped in my head for some reason, the book and the movie, because they're just visually insane half the time, and you're just like, what the hell is going on? You have to connect the pieces. The book, you have to connect the pieces more than the movie does. So, I think there's a huge connection with that, and I think it's a great thing. It's a great thing to start. And just here's my thing: as long as the writing's good, you want the writing to be good.
Oh yeah.
That's you want the writing to be good, even as a first time author. It's not gonna be perfect, but you want to be good enough where people are like, whoa, this guy's got it or got something, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's that perfect example of that old expression. You can't paint a shit,
Mm-hmm.
but you can roll it in glitter.
You can't roll it in glitter.
There definitely are some movies and books out there that have that feeling. Anyway,
Hey, that's with like self-publishing and big books too.
So, oh yeah, any creative endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you said that Within the Abyss was going to be originally your first publication, and then it was going to be Death Highway, but the Muse took over, and it turned out the other way around. So most authors get their start by doing, they put short stories out, try to, get them into anthologies, collections, and then they do their first release, which is usually a short story collection before their first novel. Okay, you said it yourself. It was the Muse that made you go the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
But why do you think most indie authors or beginning authors do that? They focus on short stories before tackling a full novel.
It seems the right thing to do, I guess, based on, who the person is and how they follow the genre. With me, it was like, because I followed magazines like Cemetery Dance and Cthulhu Sex, which is a crazy ass. It's not around anymore, but that was like a wild.
What's the name of that?
Cthulhu Sex was the name of the magazine. So it's a mix of like Lovecraftian and erotica and extreme horror. It was off the wall.
Okay, now you've got to bring it back now. You've got to bring it back.
What do you mean?
Well, just take that title and make a book, short story collection.
God,
just a short story collection, Cthulhu Sex.
Dark Discovery. So I'm just trying to pull everything, because I haven't read a lot of magazines in a long time. So I think with me, at least, and maybe with those other authors, you have that, wow, I want to submit to this magazine. Okay, now I want to submit to this short story collection before I tackle, because a novel can be intimidating.
Oh yeah,
it can be. So it just makes sense to jump on a shorter fiction, and then you can learn from that shorter fiction. Which I think probably why I kept Death Highway as a short novel too. I think that helped it, fall within that same, because like a short novel and then a short story collection. So, yeah,
part of the branding.
Yeah, part of the branding, exactly.
Okay, and for you, what do you prefer writing, novels or short stories?
I prefer the novel. Although I enjoy the short story. After Within the Abyss, I really enjoyed the process of the short story, because that challenge of like, what can I do with 6,000 words? What can I do with, because Heritage was, I believe, was that 80 pages? Somewhere, I think it was like 30. No, it was about at least 60,000. No, it wasn't 60,000. It was about 30,000 words, I think. Yeah, I'm jumping over the place. Sorry. Numbers. Oh my God. So like, what can I do with 10,000 words? That's where, my head goes with that type of challenge, and then just roll with it, and then cut out what doesn't work, and then see what people like.
Okay.
I enjoy the novel process because you just go crazy and expand and do a lot. I guess I don't like feeling restricted. That's probably what it is. But as you evolve, you figure out how to work with it. Sorry, I didn't cut you off.
Everyone else does. You can as well. Okay, and I mean, like, for those who don't really know you properly, you kind of got your big start with the Themundo Podcast with Armand Resmilia and Chuck Buddha. How did that happen? You know, like that community with those guys, with, you know, Tim Meyer, all of them. How did that come about?
When I started getting serious with my fiction again, third time's the charm. What was it, like? I think somewhere in 2016, near the end, I was like, all right, I'm gonna start writing again. And then, of course, it's a slow process. You start reading the books again to get, you know, those like how-to writing books. And then I told myself, stop being an old man, which I'm not. I mean, I think I was like 35, but you know, you're when you're born, we are 90s kid, you're in between that technology, pro technology, anti-technology. I told myself, start listening to podcasts. Found the Brian Keene's horror show Brian Keene podcast. Nice little backwards thing I just did there. And I think it's like the second interview I listened to was Chuck Buda's interview. And something about that resonated with me about starting late, becoming a late author, you know, as we feel like, you know, well, I'm starting at this age where I feel like I could have been this age, you know, but life doesn't work that way.
Yep.
And careers and dreams can happen at any age you want. It can happen when you're 50. It doesn't matter. So I felt very inspired by that. I messaged them. I made a comment on Facebook when Brian Keene was on Facebook at the time. And then he ended up tagging Chuck, and then Chuck ended up tagging Amon, and I found the guys that way.
Okay.
So, and I didn't like, like I'll mess, I ended up trying to, I became friends with Frank and Tim and Amon and Chuck online, and then I found out about the Beers and Fears tour. And so I love, I'm a big fan of, I went to a lot of conventions. I've gone to Rock and Shock, Monster Mania, which was in Jersey. And then, whenever authors are around the area, I try to follow them. I love doing that stuff, getting things signed and meeting people and talking with them, no matter how freaking nervous I am. And then, so me and my wife went to the brewery Spellbound, and then that's how I met them. And they were signing books and drinking beers, which is also another funny story. So, they I'm not somebody who jumped in right away. I sat back and watched and get to see who's who. And I'm drinking one of the beers we always talk about is the rum. It's a dark porter like fused in the rum barrels.
Ooh, that sounds good.
And I probably just butchered the whole description and name, but I don't care, whatever. So they're always high content. They're always they always hit you hard, but they're always delicious, Mm-hmm. So drinking that, got all, got all my liquid courage in. Saw Chuck, and I was like, oh, I think that's Chuck. I think that's him. And then he saw me, and then that story they always tell, which is always funny, because I look like Phil Anselmo from Pantera. That's what I'm described as. Tattoos, weightlifter, and all that crap. And then Chuck's like, who the hell is this guy? He looks like he's gonna kick my ass. And I think I got that feeling from him, like, oh my God, I think I'm scaring the shit out of this poor bastard. I'm gonna walk up and say hi now. I think my wife even says, like, you gotta stop. I think you're freaking out. You gotta stop staring at him. So, I went up there, introduced myself, and like, oh shit, you're JC Walsh, and then he introduced me to the guys, and here we are. So
the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Okay. And do you think, and having that community, do you think that's helpful?
Yeah, we always, when you are in this type of thing, you should always have a community. You should always have a group of friends to be a part of and find same interests. You're always gonna have, I always say, you got your friends, and you got professionals you're friendly with. Because everybody's personality is different. You're always going to find somebody. You're going to have cliques. Unfortunately, it's just how it is in human nature. Yeah. But it doesn't mean you can't be friends with everybody, but you always have your closer friends. Everybody's always like that. It's just how it is. It's just natural. So that really enhances, that type of support really enhances your creativity. Because now it does put pressure on you too. Because now you have eyes on you. Like, okay, we know this guy's a writer. We'll see what he's going to do, type of thing. And I was always posting the word counts even before I met them. Okay. So, and it's funny, I always see my old posts kicking, I got to start sharing them more. Like, one just popped in today from 2010. Hey, I got 500 words today. So it's funny how I get involved with a community that's very big on word sprints and sharing the word counts. when I was doing that years ago. So it's almost like it almost kind of falls into place. Like
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in fate and stuff like that. So like you still got to work hard to get those areas, but then everything falls into place as long as you're working towards it, you know? So
you've got a game plan for the future.
yeah. And does it fall apart? Sure, of course. We're human.
But then at least if it falls apart, you've got a man to kick you in the ass to keep going.
Yeah, and I always, you know what? I've been brought up in a tough love family, so it's no surprise. I got somebody like him is it's the same way. So,
yeah.
You know, big believer in that.
Oh yeah, and I mean, so you're writing horror. Do you think you would branch out and write in other genres, or is it just going to be horror and maybe horror mixed with other things?
It'll be horror mixed other things, or maybe dark fiction in general. Yep. I hear about the transgression fiction. Good God, dark crime.
Have you been drinking?
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm not drinking. Are you drinking?
Oh fuck yeah! Cheers.
Cheers. My God, apparently I don't drink like I used to. No, that's a good thing. So what the fuck was I talking about?
You're talking about transgression and dark fiction.
I'm a scatterbrain too. I'm a focused scatterbrain. I'm a functional scatterbrain. So yes, dark fiction. So yeah, my first love is always be horror, and my second love will be like some form of dark fiction, true crime. I love. You know, it's funny. I don't like confrontation. I don't like violence. It's never first thing. First, I believe it's self-defense and protecting yourself. Mm-hmm. But I also would rather talk out of it as quickly as possible. And I think that comes with my love for dark things. I am very fascinated with serial killers. So I'm always watching some form of true crime doc. I would love to get into something like that. I would love to write a true crime novel. That would be. But as we all know, that is another form of obsession. We as human beings are already naturally have a dark sense and dark interest, and then when you start
oh yeah,
opening that doorway, you gotta be mentally prepared for it. So
oh yeah, I mean, you look at Unsolved Mysteries, mm-hmm. Cold Case, all those things on Netflix. That's a rabbit hole, and I mean, for me, what got me into true crime, it was reading Jack Ketchum's The Girl Next Door.
That would do it.
Oh yeah, because I read that, and I read that, I was like, what the hell is that? It affected me, big time. And then I went, okay, this doesn't feel like this came from his head. This has to be based on something. And then I looked it up, and reading the actual true story, it's 1,000,000 times worse.
Yeah. True life is always be worse than fiction. Always will be.
Oh yeah, I mean, I say to a lot of people, no matter what I come up with, there is always worse in reality. Mm-hmm. Which that's a sad commentary on the state of the world. Yeah,
yeah. Hey, look, it's fodder for the creativity. That's just how it is,
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. But we're not going to talk about politics or religion.
Nope. I'd rather talk about squiggly-headed gods ending the world. That makes more sense right now.
Honestly, yeah, it does. It does make more sense. For me, that seems like it would be, much more plausible.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Well, when you hear about other, I think it was Sweden. I could be wrong though. That has a portal, or have the possibility of opening a portal to another dimension.
Really?
Yeah, we're gonna see some tentacles in our time.
Awesome. Well, I mean, already on the way.
Oh, hang on. We're already doing. Hang on. So we're on video. I got my hoodie on. We're gonna do the Cthulhu tattoos. Where's the damn camera?
Oh, okay. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and then all over.
Oh, it's a full sleeve.
Yeah, it's mostly skulls and demon heads. Cthulhu came later on.
Right.
It's warm down here, actually. Cthulhu came out later. I had a spot, and that spot was empty. And the guy was like, "What do you want to do with that?" And I'm like, "You know what? Let's get Cthulhu on. Everyone want to get him on there. I already have tentacles. We need the big man hiding in my bicep."
No, that's good, man. I mean, I've only got 2 tattoos. I'm still, getting there too. That doing the full thing and everything. So,
that'll work.
Oh yeah. Nah, I've got ideas. And sorry. So, oh, I think I've been drinking. Okay, so I want to talk about now. I want to ask you about your actual process.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so are you one of those guys? You know, like a lot of people. Stephen King has said it, and a lot of others agree with him. To be a writer, you have to read.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that? Do you follow that? Let's say doctrine.
I do believe it, and I don't follow it enough. I do read. I don't read as much as I should, and it can be. Sometimes you got distractions that make it hard to read, and sometimes when you're a writer, I find when you get into the really nitty gritty of the editing, I find it hard to read. I never thought I would. It may be hopefully that'll change, but because you need that form of escapism, but you also need to study it as like, okay, well, holy crap, I love this style.
Yeah.
And what can I do to be inspired by that? Where can I bring that style with my own voice? With Death Highway was like the first person style. I really enjoyed first person, future tense or whatever, or present tense or whatever. And then so you try to pull each styles and you learn. So you learn from reading other people.
Yeah,
I think that's even stronger than going to school for it or even taking classes for it. I think that's a very stronger doctrine, as you said, or whatever, to take, advice to take.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've got I follow the same thing. The books on how to, all that sort of stuff, which is very helpful.
Yeah,
I'm a little anti read as much as you can for one reason. I'm a movie guy. I got started writing movie scripts before I transitioned to books. So for me, it's a case of, okay, yeah, I like to read, but it's easier for me to watch something and I can dissect it the same way you dissect a book.
Yep.
So for me, I've told people, you can read as much as you want, watch as much as you want, just take it all in. And when you said that with Death Highway, there's a little bit of the Phantasm movies and those sort of things in there. The moment you said that, I was like, son of a bitch. I never, never picked up on it. So what's it like for you when it comes to coming up with ideas?
Either I don't mind trying to force them out, because at some point as a writer, you want to do his career, you gotta fight that part of your brain saying, I don't feel like doing this today. Mm-hmm. Because in your normal job, you gotta fight that anyways. Why can't we do it as creatives? You gotta find a way. And it's even a more what's the word I'm looking for? Satisfying. It's even more satisfying when you actually do break through that wall, and then it all releases. Yep. And then you roll with it and just go. And there's other times you just sitting there and you get the feeling, you get that like weird feeling as a writer. It's sometimes a feeling and sometimes it's visually, sometimes the things pop in your head. Like I said, with Jessica's Infidelity, that popped in my head. Other times it's a feeling of something, and then it's like those small images starting to reveal themselves. And then I try to roll with that more than anything. I don't focus on the words. If I focus on the words, I get obsessed with it. I used to see a speech therapist. I have a very fast moving brain. I don't know if you could tell. I drink a lot of coffee. So I need to just go with it.
Well, following you on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, couldn't tell about the coffee.
Not at all. So, and because my brain's like that, it's better for me to just do that and then look back and reconstruct it, and then and then there's the challenge of like hating what you write. That's the other thing you get through. So, yeah.
Okay, and you were talking about with Death Highway. I got the feeling there was a lot of drafts for it. Mm-hmm. So for you come up with a basic outline, and then as you're progressing through each draft, it becomes clearer and clearer.
No outline.
Okay, so you're okay.
I'm a pantser.
Okay.
I just roll with it. Funny, I think I treat the first draft as an outline, I guess, in some aspects, because it's all there. Because even though I'm not going by outline, I'm going by what's in my head with the story. And then now it's done. And then it'd be like, okay, well, you're still looking at it like an outline. Where can I fix this? Where can I just, okay, I'm going to take this paragraph out and make it stronger with this paragraph or these two words or switching scenes or whatever. So that is that's where I go with. That's where I pants. But then like I guess it's a little bit of the outline, but it's more based off of what my drafts look like.
Okay. See, for me, I used to be a pantser big time.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started writing, like that's back in the movie script days, because that was, for some reason that was easier. But turning to, short fiction novels, I have to outline. Sorry. And hang on, I need lubrication.
I got water for that one.
Oh yeah, I've got water too, but this is 7-year-old tequila. This is the good shit. This is liquid gold.
It's liquid gold.
Oh yeah. So, oh yeah, that's right. What I do now is my outlines. I'll do at least 10 outlines, and that's my drafting. And that's actually how I zero in on what the story is actually going to perfectly be. For example, this year I got coming out from Severed Press, The Valley of Bicho, a new book. That was 10 outlines, and it was a case of first outline, I liked it, but it was missing stuff, and just progressively, like I think the 9th outline was 40 odd chapters, and I was like,
wow,
I can't do that. I can't write that many chapters. How can I make this the simplest, easiest, most fast-paced, get in, get out? Instead of writing, like 10 different drafts, I'll just do 10 different outlines. And I think that's the great thing about what we do. It is, there's no one way of getting there.
No, there isn't. It's what works for you, and as long as you're working at it.
Yeah. And so, walk us through a regular writing day for you. Or is that secret knowledge that no one should know?
Nah, I post all that crap too. That's all over social media and hashtags. And when I'm going really strong, I can go every day, and I usually can go like an hour. My job, I get an hour for lunch.
Okay.
So usually it's like I eat, think of my ideas, and then spend the next 45 minutes blowing the words out. And that could go from anywhere to like 500 to 1,500, depending within that 45 minutes.
Okay.
And then when I get home, we do my usual stuff, dinner, maybe I'll work out, whatever, hang out, watch a little TV, let the thoughts settle. And then like I'm usually, because then things quiet down throughout the day. And then like then usually I can write like a 9:30 to midnight.
Okay. So you're more of a night owl.
I am a night owl. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the copious amounts of coffee help, I bet.
I mean, if I have too much and lack of sleep, then the hallucinations kick in, and we don't want that.
Oh no, but you take those hallucinations and feed them into Death Highway.
I did.
That explains a lot.
That explains a lot. But yeah, I could do. It's crazy depending on. If I drink coffee at 9 o'clock at night, I have to use that, and that means I have to write. Because if I don't, then I won't sleep, and then the ideas will come 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm screwed. Yeah. So can't have that. So, but yeah, usually that 9 to 12 window of like 1 to 2 cups of coffee, and then I'm good.
Okay. And I mean, is your day job high pressured?
It can be. It can be.
Right.
I'm an office assistant at a tax firm.
Okay.
So and I don't crush numbers like that. It's more like printing. It's more like office operations type stuff. It's almost like anything I've done over the years. I did that at a hospital. I did that in a print shop. So it's pretty much a combination of all those type of jobs. So the higher pressure days usually are closer to tax season.
Okay.
Then,
So
March, April, September, and October are the really, really big ones.
Okay. And if you stay up, late and not sleeping because you're writing, it's not going to really affect your job too much.
No, unless I know what type of day I'm going to go into or the type of week I had, then I'm like, okay, I can't push that hard.
Yep.
I think those days are running days, are definitely days. It's just blow the words out. At least I have them to refer to.
Yep.
And then I'll revisit them afterwards.
Okay. And things like, you got the with the Mando method, you got the the Sunday sprints, and things like NaNoWriMo. Are those really helpful for you? Those sort of things, or do they get a little distracting?
Very helpful. The sprints, especially, because when you have this fun little friendly competition, it's like, it's not like how many can do better than you. It's more like it's a combination of like, it's actually you're competing with yourself, and then everybody's cheerleader. So So I'm like, okay, well, I want to see what I can do within a half hour.
Yep.
And then sometimes that half hour could turn to like 1,200 words. One Sunday, it was like 1,500 words in a half hour.
Damn.
And then I did 1,500 words another half hour. And I was going to try to do more, but I was burned out at that point. But that was my 3,000 words in the day. I'm happy.
Okay, and do you have a daily word goal?
3,000. That's
Okay.
that's my max. My minimum now is 2,000. I prefer doing 2,000. If it's 1,000, I'm happy because then on the good days I can make that up.
Yep.
Very easily. Yeah.
And what changed? Why did you drop from 3,000 to 2,000?
I don't want to put too much pressure on myself because
Mm-hmm.
if you have a very good 2,000 word a day, and say you go write every day for 2,000 words, right? And then if I'm doing the sprints, there'll be 500 words within 15 minutes. Then go back to it before lunch, another 15 minutes, 2,000 words, something like that. If you do it within throughout the day, if I do that 2,000 words just like that and I'm done, and I do that every day for a whole month without feeling stressed out, that's a 60,000 word novel right there.
Yep.
If you look at it that way, those type of numbers, it feels less pressure. It feels like you have a goal towards something.
Oh yeah.
But then there's going to be times where you don't hit those words. You're going to be hard on yourself. Like we all are as human beings. Going to be like, well, shit, man, I didn't hit my 2,000 word goal. Well, okay, I did 500 today. Knowing I can go really fast, can I add the extra words the next day? And there's always the weekends.
Well, yeah. See, for me, I try to write Monday to Friday. Weekends I'll keep free, and weekends will be more like for editing and
I like editing on weekends too. Yeah, I like that.
And okay, so you said that you dropped down just for not having the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that you look at Facebook groups like 20 books to 50K, all these sort of Facebook groups, and you hear about all these other indie authors who they just churn out books and books and books.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that there is that sort of pressure to constantly be releasing, constantly be interacting, constantly be on?
Oh yeah, that's gonna be it's gonna be there. That's gonna be there with like even with your normal work when you're gonna feel that pressure. Like, will I get this out, and then we're not get this out, but like how am I gonna perform this day?
Uh-huh.
And then like you see everybody getting out, and you almost kind of like, well, how the hell can I get known while everybody else is blowing this stuff out? But it's I think it all starts with that community you build for yourself. Because then you are supporting others, they're supporting you, and then you're gonna branch a little bit away for a little bit and find like not like groups, but like you go reach others. That's the goal, is try to reach others, because like you may be able to reach those 10,000 people. They may be different from the other 10,000 people somebody else reached. So at least that's how I see it at the moment. It could be different. It could change.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And what I was getting at was, do you think this pressure we have on ourselves to be, to put out as much as we can, to be interacting, to be online, so interacting as much as we can, do you think that it can distract us from, I don't want to say what's more important, but from, what regular people might consider to be more important? I would do that so terribly.
No, I got you. No, it can be very distracting, because that's the problem with social media. It's a gift because you have this way of reaching people, but it can also be a curse because now you see all these different posts on things, and then you try to break through that stuff. Yep. Or then you see other subject matter happening in the world, and then people are a little more open now these days on social media about what's going on out there. So you're like, well, shoot, should I get involved and help out, or do I need to stand back? You get it's because then like you have all this, I call it noise, because I really enjoy using social media more for the professionalism. And then if I have to talk about certain subject matter, I'd rather be in I'd rather be in more the creative work.
Yep.
Than going out there and joining all the social media like craziness.
Yep.
I think that's where it can feel. I mean, it can feel distractive in so many different ways. I think it depends on who you are as a person. What can pull you away, and then you feel it in your head all day, and then you can't like go and be creative, because then you're focusing on the world matters, and you're focusing on, well, like how the heck did this person get out there, and then I can't get out there, type of thing. Yep. Which again, it's all noise. You guys if you stay within your own path, then you find it.
Yeah, of course. And do you do you purposely, if you're feeling burnouts coming up, do you purposely take time off from everything just to get yourself back together again? Or is it more like, yeah, fuck it, and just keep going?
I've done both. I've been a fuck it, just keep going person since like working 3 jobs Rhode Island, because that comes from the tough love and from that militant mentality, just keep going. But then also your body changes, you get older, things change, and then so you gotta like kind of shift a little bit. And like, okay, well, I can still keep going. I think that's where the 2,000 words a day comes from now, where I'm like, I'm gonna keep going with that. That's my new way of saying I'm gonna say fuck it, keep going.
Yeah.
But if I can't, then like December, I took a good chunk of December off just to like shut down when I had a different game plan. But I was like, you know what? Screw this shit. It's been a hell of a year. Just take a breather. Like I didn't get to travel to see family, for the holidays, which sucks. But the great part was like me and my wife just chilled out. Just like it was the quietest and most rebooting like time to be ready for this year. You know? So it all depends on person to person and how you want to. I mean, breaks are very important. You have to really. You can't like burn yourself out and then because then you be like you have this resentment and anger for a whole month or 2, depending on how long it'll take.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, last year was such a shit show.
Yeah, it was, and that now it's like it's everybody feels like 2021 could go that way, but I don't want to think that way. It's almost like it's more like thinking, all right, well, 2020 happened, put it in the bag, set it on fire,
throw it at the neighbors.
Throw it at the neighbors. You don't like your neighbors, throw that bag of 2020 shit at them, and and take what we learned from it and move forward.
Yeah,
and own. There's a great saying out there. It's like in order for you to change the world, you got to change yourself, and that's a very, very important thing to do, I think. And then I think this year is the year for everybody to do it.
Oh yeah, and I mean, now in saying that, what's in store for you for 2021?
We'll see. So Death Highway 2 will be happening for 2021. That will be like I'm gonna say late spring, early summer, probably release.
Mm-hmm.
I am in an anthology put together by Matt Wilderson. It's called Dark Words. Hang on, I got the subtitle for it because I don't want to screw it up. I don't like screwing stuff up. Stories of urban legends and folklore. So that's gonna be really cool. That's cool to be part of. I believe that's come out in May.
Okay.
So that's gonna be really fun. It's gonna be a little different because it's not typical me trying to be cosmic horror. It's more focusing on like what we love about folklore stuff. Yep. So, and I'm still doing the self-publishing thing. I'm going to focus on traditionally publishing as well. That's another way to get out there.
Yeah.
And not put your eggs in one basket. So yeah, that's the goal right now.
Okay.
Really do things I didn't get a chance to do last year. So.
Nice. Okay. So 2021 is going to be the year of JC Walsh.
That's right. And I want to see. And his thing, I want to see the year of R.F. Blackstone. I want to see the year of Armand Rosamilia. I want to see the year of all my friends and buddies out there.
Armand Rosamilia, Chuck Wood, they've already had their years. Same as Tim Meyer. Last year was Tim Meyer's year. So they screw them. It's our time.
Good start for a first episode.
Yeah, they need to share it. They need to share everything.
That's funny. Oh man, but yeah, it's definitely gonna be the year of JC Walsh. I can see a lot of positive stuff. Want to work towards. So
good. All right. So, thank you so much for being on. I'm going to link your Amazon page, website, Facebook, Twitter. I'll link those at the bottom. If you like this video, like it, subscribe, all the usual jazz. Leave a comment. If you have a particular independent author you want to see on here, please put in the comments and I'll see what I can organize. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Really appreciate it. This is great.
Great. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later.